Hi, it's Marc Summers, and today I'm going to be talking to the great Brad Williams. We discuss dealing with hecklers.
He said kill the dwarf.
Right.
It wasn't the dwarf part that offended me. It was the kill the.
Yeah, I get that. Using comedy in the face of bullying.
And I got sent to the principal's office for having the better joke.
And convention copulation. You gotta stay tuned for that.
They took the physical challenge. Don't ask me where they hid the flag.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to Marc Summers Unwraps. I think you have to push buttons. You know, when George Carlin started, he was this conservative guy who used to do this act about the hippy-dippy weatherman, and he was very conservative. And he used to play Vegas as an opening act doing that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, you know, he let his hair grow long and talked about the 7 words you can't say on television, which back then was, oh my God, I can't believe he said those things. And those records were like banned in certain states. But it's how he became successful. He took points of view to an extreme, be it religion, be it about words, and his point of view was they're only words. And so I think if you're going to be a Robin Williams, oh my God kind of comedian, you have to take chances and push buttons that nobody prior to you has pushed. And those are 2 examples of guys who nobody had ever seen before, anything quite like it, and then they exploded. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marc Summers Unwraps. I'm going to tell you to do something today that I've never done on my show. Our guest today is Brad Williams, and I love Brad Williams. And many of you are saying, oh, my God, he's on this show. And there's a percentage of you who are saying, I'm not sure who Brad Williams is. So do me a favor. Turn me off and go Google Brad Williams and watch him for about 10 or 15 minutes and then come back, and you're going to get so much more out of today's podcast than you would have if you didn't do that. So I'm going to stop. You go do that, and I'll see you in a few. Welcome back. I'm glad you watched Brad Williams. He's hysterical. I found him first on social media, TikTok, all sorts of places. And when I talked to my producer, Keith, he said, we're booking Brad Williams. I said, I'm not sure who that is. And he goes, well, he's this dwarf comic. And I went, oh, God, he's hysterical. And so, welcome.
Thank you. I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine with that. I'm fine with being the guy that if you say, I don't know who that guy is, and they go, the little comic. Yeah. Yes, fine. Because there's not a lot of us out there.
No.
So it's like me and Tanya Lee Davis and Nick Novicki, and that's about it. And if you Google dwarf comic or midget comic or comic under 5 feet tall after Kevin Hart, me, then it's me. So I'm fine with that. That's right. I threw shade at Kevin Hart. I'll never work again. All right, good.
You're doing fine. So let's talk about that. You brought up the word midget and dwarf and little person. What is politically correct these days?
Yeah, you know what? I don't even know. I don't even get the newsletter.
You're not in the club?
No.
You should be president of the club.
I used to go to the conventions. That's not even a joke. That's real.
Wait. There's conventions?
Yeah.
Oh, tell me about this.
LPA, Little People of America. So I guess little person, short answer is little person is very politically correct. But me personally, I don't really like little person because you don't really know what you're talking about. If you say, oh, he's a little person, you're like, so 5'3", like 5'2".
What does it mean?
It doesn't really get specific. I like the word dwarf. I have dwarfism. I have achondroplastic dwarfism. I don't mind that word at all. Now some people are angry about dwarf, and I can't keep up.
Oh my God, really?
I can't keep up. I don't know. I don't even mind the word midget. Some people do.
I was going to ask you about that.
That's the bad word.
Why is that bad?
I don't know. No one could ever give me a good answer. The closest answer I got was P.T. Barnum used it as like an advertising thing for Tom Thumb and a few other sideshow acts, and that's sort of where the connotation comes in. But me personally, okay, so I once did a gig in Odessa, Texas. During the show, there was a heckler. I went back and forth with them. It happens all the time. But this guy kept going at it, and at the end, I had to throw him out. I do not like to throw people out of my show. I'm of the belief that I'm a professional. I should be able to make it work somehow. But sometimes they get to the point where it's like, okay, I can't do insults to you.
He was taking over.
Yeah, and it's like, I can't. I can't slam you so many times. So we kicked him out. End of the night, I'm getting into the opening act's car, and this is in Odessa, Texas, and right out of a movie, you see the headlights turn on from the other side of the parking lot. My. and it's a pickup truck because it's Texas. And the guy from earlier has his head out the window and he screams, "Kill the dwarf!"
No kidding.
And he starts driving towards me, and we hopped in the car and we did the trick. We didn't do it consciously, but we kind of went around the parking lot and it kicked up a lot of dust, and then we jetted off, and then we got out of there. But so he said, "Kill the dwarf."
Right.
It wasn't the dwarf part that offended me. It was the kill the.
Yeah, I get that.
So if he would have said kill the person of short stature, I still would have been offended because it's the kill the.
Oh my.
So for me, it's all about context. So then to go to the other question, by the way, for your listeners, we're gonna go on a lot of tangents today. My brain works that way.
Good.
So, but I'll keep bookmarks and we'll answer all the questions.
Nice.
Conventions are amazing. Little People of America, they do conventions.
What do you talk about?
Okay. Do you want the answer they give, or do you want the real answer, or both?
Both.
All right. The answer they give is that dwarf conventions are an opportunity for little people to come together, form a sense of community, talk to doctors, do sporting events, social activities, and basically let each other know that they are not alone in this world, that wherever they can go to find out what to do about clothing, driving, medical issues, anything like that, they can go to a convention and they can find out those answers. That's the term. That's what they will say. What I will tell you, and what most little people will tell you who have been to these conventions, they're for boning. They're for going
Seriously.
to a hotel for a week, yes, and finding another little person and having some good old-fashioned fun. That's what it's for, and that's what happens. A lot of families are formed from these conventions because we spend the whole year being friend-zoned, and everyone's just like, they're cool, but I don't really look at them in that way. Wow. And then we go to the convention, and we're hot. We're hot,
I love
Mark.
It.
We're sexy.
You've heard the rumors about Wizard of Oz.
Sure.
Okay, and there's a hotel in Culver City where supposedly it was they were playing hide the salami for weeks on end.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That would not surprise me at all if you put all the Munchkins and all the Munchkin actors into a hotel. Yeah, stuff's gonna happen. To me, it's like, and people go, "Well, can you believe they do that? They do it in the Olympic Village, and that's not a problem. In the Olympic Village, all the athletes are banging. All the physically perfect specimens from all over the world get together, and you don't think there's gonna be some copulation? I'm using synonyms, Mark, because you're a childhood hero of mine, so I don't want to say the swear words in front of you. Yes, I'm not going to say it in front of you. It's like my Uncle Mark. I can't say that.
So they took the physical challenges, basically.
Yes, they took the physical challenge. Don't ask me where they hid the flag. So, yes, so yes, you get a lot of dwarves in one hotel, and they're going to do that. I've had several wonderful relationships with dwarf women, and they're great. My wife currently is not a little person. She is of average height. That's the
and what does that mean? What is average height?
That's the only one where I come in. I'm 4'4".
How tall is she?
She's 5'7".
Oh my! Okay.
Yeah. That's how you know I'm really good at my job, Mark.
Yeah, man. Honestly,
people
God.
Like, Brad, are you funny? Look at her. Yes, I'm somewhat
the possibilities are endless. Huh?
Yes. So, and so the only terms that offend me, I don't get offended at the word midget. To me, it's fine. But when you say normal height, that one bugs me.
Yeah. What does that mean?
I like average height.
Yeah.
Because average, if you look up the mathematical term, that makes sense. Normal means like, he's not normal. And it's like, that one bugs me a little bit. Not to the point where I'll write any letters. I don't write letters. I got too much stuff to do.
So as we're going down this path, I was going to get down there later, but since we're here,
sure.
What is it the fascination that people have with little people, with dwarfs, where they want to have sex with women and guys? Tell me that whole story.
Now, once again, I'm not a spokesman for all little people.
Of course.
I'm not a doctor. I have just lived a life, Mark. And so I'm just going on my personal experience.
Personal experience.
From my personal experience, everyone likes a story. Everyone likes a story, and when you're out there at that dinner party or wherever you're at, and everyone's talking about what they did in their 20s and their wild days, if you ever say, well, I banged a little guy, record stop, everyone's going to want to know some details. And
Oh my.
I think, and it's the same if you ever say I ever was with a dwarf woman, they want to know details. So I think the fascination is that because we are smaller, they want to know is, and this goes for both men and women, is everything smaller?
Right.
That's the question. And
the answer is?
It's so funny you say that. So it's to the point where when someone says, Brad, I have a question about dwarfism, I answer 6 inches. And they just go,
okay.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So, all right. So I would always say with the men, I don't know about the women specifically. Like I said, I've been with some dwarf women, and to me, they're lovely, and it was normal. It was fine. With the men, I think we're of average size down there.
Right.
It's nothing crazy. But then the good part is that on us, it looks bigger.
I never thought about that.
It looks bigger.
Because proportionally,
it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to hang down to your knee, but it does.
Well,
for
you maybe.
Yes, I can legitimately say all these comics go on stage. I'm hung like a horse. Whatever. Yeah, but you can't say it hangs down to your knee. I can, legitimately. Now they might be bigger than me, but you know.
Well, this is
Optics.
taking a whole different direction than I kind of thought.
Sure, right off the bat.
Let's follow up with this. So your parents are of average size?
Yes.
And you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have one sister, and she is of average size. So I am the black sheep of the family, my friend.
So how often does that happen? Are there percentages?
So like for instance, me and my wife, we have a daughter, and she is also a little person.
Now, how do you know that already?
Very obvious. Very obvious. Because huge dick. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we knew. They actually found out before she was born. They did an ultrasound. They measure the length. They can measure the length of the limbs in the ultrasound. It's
so
incredible.
Nuts now.
And also head shape.
Really?
Yeah. When you give birth to a bobblehead, they're kind of like, okay, that's a little person.
Really? Because your head size is normal size.
No, it's not.
It's not?
It is massive.
No kidding.
This is I wear like a 7 7/8 hat. Like,
really?
It's a huge head, Mark.
Is that a predominant part?
For my type of dwarfism, yes. So there's because dwarfism is a genetic mutation. That's right. It's a mutation. I'm an X-Man. Because it is a mutation. There's literally over 100 different types of dwarfism, but there's about 9 or 10 prominent types. I have something called achondroplasia that is the most popular type. That's your me, that's your dinklage, that's your wee man. And part of that is, yes, larger heads and specifically predominant foreheads. We have the Peyton Manning 5 head is what we have. He might be part dwarf, which is weird because he's 6'4".
Wow.
But he might be part dwarf because that head, woof.
Do you get mistaken for those other guys?
All of them.
Really?
All the time.
The you all look alike syndrome?
All the time. To the point where now, it used to be if someone asked for a photo of me or an autograph, I would know that they thought I was Wee Man or Dinklage. I would just be like, you don't know who I am. You think I'm somebody else. So no. But now if someone asks like, hey man, can I get a photo? I always say, why?
Do you?
And if they say, oh, because I love your comedy, I'm like, hell yeah, photos. Let's do photos. Do you want me to do a video message to your kid? Yeah, fine. Yeah, let's photos, autographs, whatever. But then, if someone thinks I'm Wee Man or Dinklage, and I don't want to do that for them. So yeah, I go, no, I'm the other one. So
see you later.
Yeah. So I'm not mean to anybody, but I don't want to really take a photo with someone if you don't know me or am a fan of me, because then what is that to you? Like if I'm out and about and someone looks at someone and goes, ooh, that's that famous TikToker, and I don't know who that is, then I don't want a photo with that person. I don't care.
No, I'm with you on that.
Now, if I see Marc Summers walking down the street, then yeah, all day photos.
So you're still in my audience. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So you grew up watching Double Dare. What would you do and all that
Yeah,
stuff?
well,
huh?
you were the dude.
I was.
you were the man, and I've even seen your 2020 report.
Oh
that,
yeah. What was that? No, it was a Dateline. I think.
Dateline,
where
the
you
OCD
were,
stuff. Yeah, where you're fixing the fringe of the rugs.
Yep.
Is that how's that for you?
I'm much better.
Okay. Through the wonders of therapy and
therapy and the medication
drugs.
and all that stuff. Yeah,
right.
I'm off that stuff now. But I went through something called behavior therapy.
Okay.
Where they sort of retrain your mind because OCD is driven generally by something called intrusive thoughts.
Okay.
I tell myself, unless I straighten that rug, something bad will happen to members of my family. So it forces you to do these things over and over again.
So my wife, her job is she is a behavioral therapist.
Oh, well, she's right up my alley.
Yeah, now,
give me your number.
Yeah, so she
not for that reason, but
yeah, sure. No, trust me, you have no shot. I barely have a shot. So,
you haven't been married that long.
Yeah,
Come on,
exactly.
man.
Yeah. It's 6 years.
So what kind of behavior therapy does she do?
Specifically, she does autism and mostly in children, and she helps them. I don't want to use the wrong term here. I probably will. I'll say manage, but I don't know if that's the right term. I'll just say live with, and you learn skills, and you learn routines, and things that help you manage and live with,
cope with the world.
Coping, yes,
yeah,
exactly.
That's what it's all about.
She says the worst thing that happens is when she goes to a home to work with a kid, and the parents go, "Okay, so when are you gonna cure him?"
Oh,
and it's like,
never.
Nope,
no,
you don't. That's what it is with autism. I'm sure part of that is OCD as well.
And I've done interventions. There was this one girl, I get called by her therapist. She grew up watching me and knew that I had OCD. And she couldn't go into a Macy's. She couldn't get near the makeup counter. She didn't want to get glitter on her. She didn't want to put makeup on her.
Interesting.
And therefore, she was very introverted, and her friends would have sleepovers, but she couldn't go because she was afraid they were going to do that stuff.
Interesting.
Things that you think are totally nuts, but they're not, because they have every person out there has some sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I did an intervention with this young lady, and we did baby steps to get to the Macy's counter. Yeah. And we started outside, and how she freaked out, and then we went in, and we stood by, and it takes a long time.
It's every day, and you have to work at it a lot. You can't just work at it and then 4 months later work at it again. It's got to be constant. So
and what I tell people is, I think OCD is the same as being an alcoholic or a drug addict. I'm not either one, but unless you're ready to get better, you're not going to. Yeah. So when people say, I did an intervention. We talked about this. We had Howie Mandel here, and I was 25
OCD,
years ago did an intervention on him. And what Howie said to me was, there's nothing wrong with me. It's you guys that are having the problems. And so you have to admit initially that there's an issue that you need to take care of. And now he's doing that, and he's in great shape. Yeah. But, I wouldn't say great shape. We're doing better is what I like to say.
You know what? And now we'll put these stories together. Because this weekend, and I told a story like this on my first special called Fun Size, now streaming on Amazon Prime, where I said I had a encounter with someone. You talk about a fear of going into Macy's. There are people out there that have a phobia of little people.
No.
Yeah.
What do you call that?
A chondroplastophobia.
Really?
And you don't think it's real until you witness it.
And what happens?
Now, much like everything in terms of OCD, in terms of autism, there is a spectrum. Sometimes, as it was this weekend, there was a man who came with his family. His family all wanted to see me, and they brought him, knowing he has this phobia. He was able to watch the show. During the meet and greet, he had to stand over on the side wall, and once they told me about the phobia, of course, I just
went
run up to him.
Of course.
He tried to just give me a fist bump, and then I just like, nah, dude.
Did you hug him?
Bring it in. Coming in for the hug.
I love it.
And I did, and he was good. But it's weird. I don't want to say I'm an expert by any means in the world of psychology, but now it's happened to me so many times that I kind of know how to approach it a little bit. I kind of like to assure them, like, hey, I'm a human being. Not going to hurt you. I'm just like everyone else here in this line. Hell, they have more of a chance of hurting you than I do, based on just size. But and we kind of, as you talked about, slowly get into it. The story I told on Fun Size is that I ran into a celebrity who has the phobia.
Oh,
John Stamos.
No kidding.
Has it, or you know what? I will give him credit.
Had it.
Okay. Very bad. And the late great wonderful Bob Saget introduced me to John, and he was the one that told me he had the phobia. And I'm like, so what do we do? And he goes, oh, go for it. So I tell the story in detail on the special, but I ran up to John and I grabbed his leg and I started humping it. I mean, he's a very good looking man, Mark. I'm no shame.
And how did he react?
Very scared, frightened, but then he kind of looked around and realized he was in public and he kind of knows what's happening. So he's like, I'm okay.
Really?
And so, but that was a moment. And once again, go see the full special. But an update to that joke, that story, is that I went to, once again, the late, great Bob Saget's Scleroderma Foundation dinner, which he raised millions of dollars for scleroderma research. So what a saint of a human being. And he has this dinner every year, and it's still going on. And a lot of stars go. I actually bought a table. I wasn't invited, but I bought a table.
Nice.
And there, Stamos was at the dinner. He sees me. This is since the special had come out, and I'm sure other friends had bugged him. And he ran up, grabbed me by the hand. He said, "Come with me."
No kidding.
And he walks me over to Jimmy Kimmel's table, and he looks at Jimmy, and I know Jimmy, thankfully, through K-Rock Radio. Out here in Los Angeles
back in the day.
And he looks at Jimmy and goes, "Jimmy, look, I'm fine now." So he's obviously been doing well, and so credit to John for going along with the joke and then doing whatever is necessary to better himself.
You know what's nuts though are the rumors. John. You know that people hear. I was doing Howard Stern's show and Delabate came in, Baba Booey, and said. A friend of mine told me that you ran into him at the airport and you wouldn't shake hands with him. Well, first of all, that's such bullshit, okay? I shake hands
Mark
with everybody.
First.
Yeah, I know,
yes.
I did.
Yes.
Because I go nuts over that stuff because I was never a person. I was all about being neat and orderly. I was never germ-phobic.
Right.
And so people come up with these things that never happened that they claim you did.
Yeah.
And, and now with the internet, back in the day, there was no internet, so it didn't spread. But now there's so much crap out there.
Yeah, and it drives me nuts because, yes, there are times I try to be very nice all the time, but when you meet someone, you don't know what day they're having. You don't know what's going on. 100%. You don't know why they're flying to the place they're flying. I just flew home 2 days ago from San Antonio, Texas. I had done 3 shows the night before. I literally got no sleep for a 6 a.m. flight. I'm sure if you ran into me at the airport in San Antonio, no sleep after 3 shows,
you weren't the happiest man.
Probably not the friendliest guy.
Yeah.
And it also would drive me nuts. Similarly, if someone came up to you and said like, "Oh, like you were a complete asshole to this guy," or you didn't shake his hand, you stop and go, No, because that's literally not my...
I would never do that.
Exactly. Like sometimes I'll be having a disagreement with my wife and then she will say something like, "And you told me go fuck off." And I'm like, "No, I didn't. No, I didn't." Now, maybe that's...
How long you been married?
7 years.
You wait. I'm hitting 50, man.
Good job, man. But like... That's one of those things where it's like maybe I said something and you internalized it as fuck off.
Or misinterpreted
it as fuck off. But I know me, I did not say
Brett,
that.
Good luck winning that battle. Okay?
Oh, I know. I never have.
It ain't happening, man.
Whether I said it or whether I didn't say it doesn't matter. It happened. It happened.
So what was it like growing up in Orange County?
Facts, fake news.
Growing up in Orange County as a dwarf, as a little person,
yes.
The bullying must have been insane. No?
Not for me.
Tell me why.
Because, okay, so this is the greatness of my father, Marc Summers. So my father, no longer with us.
Skin cancer, right?
Yeah. Well... skin cancer to a point. He beat the skin cancer, and then lovely ALS came a calling.
No.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
ALS, a son of a bitch.
And he's
Mark.
a young guy.
77, but yeah, I mean, it's weird that you can say 77 and then that's, young nowadays, but ALS is a son of a bitch.
So how long did he suffer with that?
I mean, that's the thing is we don't know.
Really?
Because ALS can take it can go fast, it can go slow, and it can pop up slowly. Like at first it's like, oh, you're a little forgetful, or you have a little bit of motor skill problems, but that goes on for a little bit, and then not till it really starts happening where you're like, oh crap.
And how did you discover that we're in trouble here?
Doctors, you go to the doctor, and then the doctor tells you, and then you're just like, okay.
So after the diagnosis,
Well,
how much
shit.
longer was he around?
About a year and a half.
Oh, that's all. So that was quick.
Yeah, it was a late one.
So your dad, I know you
Yeah.
idolize your dad for a lot of reasons. So
Yeah.
tell me this story.
My dad knew that I was different,
Mm-hmm.
was not one of these parents who has a different kid. And I say different in terms of like, dwarfism, or you have another form of disability. And there are some parents out there that go, nope, my kid is exactly like everybody else. And to a point, that's good. But there is some realism that you have to have. And my dad knew that I was not like everybody else. So he knew I would be bullied. So his philosophy was, we are going to make sure that if anyone bullies you, you bully them back. And we would literally write jokes, Mark. We would write. This is one of my earliest memories with him. Like, I'm 5 years old. I'm 4 years old. We're writing comebacks for the playground.
Oh my! Such as, you remember any?
I remember the first one that got me sent to the principal's office.
Which was?
It was first day of school, Laguna Road Elementary, and a kid comes up in Mrs. Trendle's kindergarten class.
Oh my!
And says, "Ha ha, you're little," and I said, "Ha ha, your mom doesn't live with your dad anymore." And I grew up in Orange County. I had a good chance of getting that one right. And I did. And I got sent to the principal's office for having the better joke.
Oh my!
Yep. So, and then I remember the principal called my dad, and I was so happy when he said he was going to call my dad, because I was like, great. Because if he would have called my mom, I might have been in trouble.
Really?
But if he called my dad, my dad gave me the joke.
Yeah.
It's fine. So my dad on the phone said, your son was in an altercation, and my dad said, did he start it or did he finish it? And when the principal said, well, technically he finished it, he goes, then I got no problem. Click. And
No
just
kidding.
hung up. Yes.
Yeah.
So like, word got around quick that if you
Screwed
go
with
after
you.
Brad, Brad goes after you.
Ah.
And once that started happening, friends, I had friends. I was a very social kid. So they would be on my side as well. Every now and then there would be a new kid that would come to school and look and see the little guy and be like, okay, that's my in. Go after him. He's the weak one in the prison yard. I wasn't the weak one in the prison yard. So yeah, that went poorly.
Was your mom the same way?
No, mom was very passive, but dad was I don't want to say aggressive, but
Survival of the fittest.
yeah, taught me how to stand up for myself. And it's funny, you go over these stories, and I actually just remember this past weekend, and this kind of goes on the lines of how he was realistic with my limitations. I loved sports growing up, wanted to be a pro athlete. Did my dad lie to me and say, yeah, go for it? No.
What'd he say?
He said, you're not going to be a pro athlete. And I go, I could be a kicker. They don't get hit. He goes, all right. And he takes me outside to the backyard and he goes, kick the ball.
Really?
And I kick the ball. Womp womp. Sad game show loser sound. And yeah. But then what my dad did, and this is the parent I want to be for my daughter.
Okay.
Is because once it became real to me that's like, okay, I can't go pro in these sports. I could play these sports. I could do well in sports. I played organized sports till I was about 12 years old.
Little League? Oh, I'm sorry.
Too easy. Actually, no, fuck, I was 15. Yeah, 15. I actually played hockey growing up. It was great.
Did you really?
Yeah, I played hockey.
Wow.
In Orange County, played roller hockey.
That's intense.
So much fun. So, but one thing that my dad would do is he'd say, okay, so you really like sports. You're into sports. You can't go pro at sports. But we grew up in Southern California. He goes, "Do you like Vin Scully?" And I go, "I love Vin Scully. The legendary Dodger announcer." He goes, "Do you like Chick Hearn?" I go, "I love Chick Hearn, legendary announcer for the Lakers." He goes, "How about you do that?" And I go, "Okay."
Yeah.
So I would start calling games.
Come on.
I would start you turn the sound down, you call games.
Yeah.
And even to the point where my dad would have friends would come over, and then he would be like, "Hey, Brad, get in here. Watch this, guys. Call the game." And then he would mute the game.
And you would do it.
And I would call the game. And his friends would be impressed. I mean, I don't know if they actually were or not, but they were probably annoyed.
I bet they were.
But it was great because he encouraged that to be like, okay.
But how smart is that?
It's so, now that I am a parent, it's so playing 4D chess.
Yeah,
it's so, you're seeing it from a different angle where you're like, okay, I don't want to tell my kid no, and don't want to say you can't be in sports, you can't do the thing that you love. Let's find a way for you to do the thing that you love. So
that was brilliant.
So that's what I did, and I
love Scully when he would say 2 on, 2 out, 2 outs, deuces wild. He had those little things.
At one, there was I have so many Vin Scullyisms. One of the funnier ones was a random rant against socialism, which I thought was great.
Really?
Yeah. Look,
I gotta look that up.
Look this one up.
Wow.
He's talking about a Venezuelan pitcher.
Oh my.
And randomly he inserts he fled the country when the socialist regime took power. Socialism, as we all know, never works. And
my. Little Vinny aside there, huh?
He starts going.
Wow.
And then of course he ends it with 2 and 2 or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
It's so great. He does that one. There's one where the cameraman shows a kid in the stands sucking their thumb, and he randomly goes into the poem Where the Thumbsuckers Go by Shel Silverstein.
No.
And I'm like, how did you pull
that out of your ass, right?
That is so good. So he was so good. And this new series about the Lakers in the 80s.
Right.
Season 1. Now, if you know stories and you could debunk me, please write me, because I want to be truthful to this. In the first season, they kind of portrayed Chick Hearn as a little bit of a racist.
There were rumors about that.
And it really bothered me. He had the one incident where...
at the bowling show? Do you know what he used to do?
No, I don't know this one.
Okay, this is the one...
See, this is why I want to know, because I want to be on the right side of history, and I don't want to be defending people or saying things that are false.
On KTLA, he used to host a bowling show, local thing, okay?
Okay.
And the rumor was that he said to a white contestant...
Okay.
What do you do for a living? And to the black contestants, he would say, do you have a job?
Okay.
And it was subtle.
Yeah.
But it was those kinds of things. And people, here's a guy who worked with teams that were primarily not white.
Yes.
And I never saw it in him as a broadcaster, but every now and then, I guess, maybe things slip out. I don't know.
Yeah, there was one thing as a broadcaster where he got a little hot water where a black player dunked the ball and was hanging on the rim, and he said hanging on the rim like a monkey.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's not...
You can't do it.
That's not a good one.
No.
And they came to him and he's like, but he was hanging on the rim. The race said nothing. But I get why I totally get why he had to backtrack and why he had to apologize for that one. Totally understand.
He'd have been fired now.
Yeah. Absolutely. So... I didn't like that, but maybe I'm wrong. I didn't know the guy. All I know is I loved hearing his calls.
He was brilliant. There's no question.
He invented the term slam dunk.
He did.
Invented that.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, he had all these catchphrases. The mustard's off the hot dog when it's a blooper. The game's in the refrigerator, the door's closed, the lights are out, the eggs are cool, and the butter's getting hard, and the jello's jiggling. He had all that stuff that I looked and I was like, I really want to do that. And then my dad would tell me, and you'd probably be a great sports announcer, because wouldn't it be funny if you interviewed a 7-foot tall basketball player?
Yeah.
And sure enough, I was doing some work with K-Rock out here in LA, and they sent me to it was the purple and gold carpet for one of the season openers for the Lakers. It was the year they had Steve Nash, Dwight Howard, Kobe Bryant, and Pau Gasol.
I thought with Nash there, we were slam dunk in.
Oh, I thought so too. Anyway, but so I got to go to that carpet and interview all the players.
Oh my.
And so I literally am interviewing Dwight Howard and Paul Gasol that are like 6'11", 7 foot, somewhere in there. And there was a moment, certainly when I was interviewing Dwight, where I was just like, holy crap, the kind of dream came true, you know, like the thing we envisioned happened. And now I'm interviewing a 7 foot tall basketball player.
Very cool.
So yeah, it was great. And one thing that I'm getting from my dad, whether it be, because he essentially taught me how to be a comedian, whether it be on purpose or not, having me write those comebacks. And also, whenever I'd have to give a speech in school, he would go up and sit at the other side of the house and be like, okay, give the speech. I should be able to hear you from here. Oh my. So he taught me how to project and how to be. And
what did he do for a living?
Lawyer. He was a defense attorney. So public speaking was kind of his deal.
Yeah.
And he also loved putting humor into his depositions. He would love using jokes, and he said it really helped the jury adhere to him. So he was big on it. So when I started doing comedy, he thought it was a great hobby. He didn't like the fact that I dropped out of school to do it. But I would assume most parents wouldn't. But then once things started going really well, he was all about it. Loved it.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
You know, I miss the Vins and the chicks. I don't find them to be around so much anymore.
Yeah. There's a few, because the thing that was about Vin Scully and Chick Hearn is that they were regional. Mm-hmm. They were these regional legends that that you don't really get too much, because like for football
that's like
now,
Harry Carey in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, each major city
Jack Buck.
they would be around.
Yeah. And I think one of the last guys is the dude for the Yankees. I don't know his name, but he actually recently got hit in the head with a foul ball while calling a game.
I didn't know that.
He was fine. I wish I knew. I didn't know his name. But he's calling the game, and the ball comes back. He goes, the ball's coming back. Ow! Ow! And he's saying ow like in a baseball announcer voice. It's perfect. And then he's the guy that where at the end he goes, the Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Right.
That guy.
Not recently though.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. And I do miss those regional announcers, because I mean you still kind of have them on the radio, but you don't have them on TV. Now it's all national broadcast.
It is. Here's the thing that I found. So the first time I did the Today Show, Bryant Gumbel interviewed me, okay? And I'll tell you why Bryant was amazing, because he was a sports guy. Yeah. He did his homework. Mm-hmm. And so when I walked on that stage, he knew everything about me.
Yep.
Bob Costas is amazing.
Yep.
Because nobody does homework like Costas.
Nobody.
And I find out that those guys are great broadcasters because they know how to do all the background information that you need. Mm-hmm. There's no stone unturned.
Yep.
And I'm also finding out, I don't know if you watch CBS Morning Show, but I'm addicted to it. Nate Burleson, who started off playing football, is now daily on that show.
Yeah.
And he's just hosted his first game show. And I texted him and I said, because I was... I don't want to take too much credit for this, but I hired Seacrest back in the early days, and I was hosting Next Food Network Star when Fieri was doing it.
So blame you.
Yeah, I'm a little bit responsible for that stuff. And I said to him, Seacrest and Fieri have nothing on you. That's how good he was. And I think it's that sports, training, background, rehearsal. When they go into a huddle and do, 24 right L, I don't know what the hell that means, but they know instantaneously.
But they know, and they know when they get to the line to switch it to I right tight 37 all on wing go.
Oh, so wow, you do know your stuff.
That's literally one play that I know. One play, I know Madden. Okay.
But sports guys are amazing. They know.
It's training, it's repetition, it's being so my opening act on the road is one of my best friends, a comic, JB Ball. He played basketball at the University of Tampa. Which is, I think, a D3 school. I say that just to shun him. Anyway, but shade him a little bit. But he was an athlete, and he attacks stand-up the same way an athlete. He prepares, he notes, film, the whole thing. So I think it was Bob Knight. I think this quote is from Bob Knight, not the one where he said, fuck you. Not that one.
Not that one.
But the one where he said, I don't want players that know how to win. I want players that can prepare to win. I might be butchering that quote.
But I always loved Knight. I'm from Indianapolis. So
there you go.
Yeah. So
there you go, Indiana.
But here's the deal. He cared more about the students and getting an education and graduating than about winning games.
Yeah.
Now, he wanted to win games more than life itself.
Yeah.
Now, he got nuts when he was throwing shares and hitting the students and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But there was something magical about him, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it's weird. There are certain people that when you coach them like that or teach them like that some people respond to that kind of coaching, that kind of parenting, that kind of teaching.
Yep.
Some of my best teachers, the teacher I'm still friends with to this day, my theater teacher in high school, had lunch with her like 2 months ago. She was one of those teachers that she would make you feel like absolute crap if you messed up. But I don't know. I respond to that.
Yeah,
so
me too.
That's how I'm good with that. I don't internalize things when people, insult me if I do something wrong and they yell at me. I go, yeah, well, I did something wrong. Okay, I got to fix that, and then they won't yell at me again.
So you did theater in high school?
Yeah.
What parts?
Oh God, all of them. I did. Jesus. I mean,
you played Jesus? No kidding.
You know what my favorite. I did Damn Yankees.
Oh, what role?
What was I in Damn Yankees? I don't. It's such a good show.
You didn't play the devil?
No.
You would have been great in that.
No, I was one of the ball players.
Okay.
But that was my freshman show. As You Like It, which is a Shakespeare.
Yep.
There's. They're on the boat. Anything Goes. Anything Goes. And then probably my favorite show, which is one of those shows that I don't know you could do today, is How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying.
Why don't you do it?
I love that show.
That was a great show.
It was a great show. You know what, though? You can't do it in youth theater because of the Hedy LaRue part, which is like a very like sex pot thing. So
I don't know.
When you use kids, it's like, okay, a little Epstein-y.
Did you want to do theater?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to, act. I wanted to be in theater. I wanted to do sports broadcasting. I went to USC, fight on Trojans.
And studied in what?
Go Caleb Williams. Was a communications major, broadcast journalism major, and tried to. That was my thing. It's like,
but
all right.
You dropped out.
Yeah, but
and tell this story.
I dropped out when for Father's Day. In fact, I took my dad to the Brea Improv, and the comedian was on stage, and he started making midget jokes. Half the audience is laughing, and the other half of the audience is sitting
out of nowhere. He starts making midget jokes. Really?
Just starts making midget jokes, and the audience that's sitting by me is like not laughing,
nervous,
not laughing, and he notices. And he goes, "What is one of them here?" And I raised my creepy little hand in the air, and I was like, "What's up, dude?" And he called me up on stage, and he asked me questions, and because he was just curious. And I remember he asked me, what do you do for a living? And at the time, I was working at Disneyland. So I said, I work at Disneyland.
Doing what?
And that's when I turned to the audience, because I heard a little mumble in the audience, and I turned to them and said, fuck you, I'm not one of the 7. And they did that. They laughed. And at that moment, I was like, oh, that felt good.
Yeah, right?
That felt real good. And literally then, I started looking up open mics, and... Yeah, I had a year to go to graduate and to get my... And
you dropped out?
And I dropped out.
I'm going to come over there and strangle you.
Well, you, my dad, and my mom all the same boat.
1 year to go, man.
1 year to go. And don't get me wrong, I'm on their side.
Yeah.
I get it. Especially as a parent now. I kind of told him, like, no, I'll just do this comedy thing for like a year or two, and then I'll just go back to school. Like some kids backpack through Europe. I'm gonna do stand-up comedy for a year or two, and they said okay. That's how I convinced them, and then I didn't go back. But
so you started doing open mic nights.
Yeah,
but passing away here.
Yeah, but I was doing. I was majoring in communications. We didn't lose a cancer cure.
Right.
We're fine.
Right.
Now, when Dr. Ken, the wonderful comedian actor, Dr. Ken, who's a real doctor and was a real pediatrician, when he stopped doing that, well, shit, that's a loss.
Yeah.
Some kid's not going to know they have the measles. But so like that, and I tell them that all the time.
So who did you look up to in the comedy world? Who did you think was funny?
See, and I'm not even going to take the bait and go for the short joke of who did you look up to? Okay. It's, I looked at Robin Williams was a key one. Yeah. Christopher Titus. I still to this day, I love Titus. Titus to me taught a very important lesson in comedy.
Which was?
And that lesson is he likens it to a rubber band. If you watch his special, Norman Rockwell is Bleeding, I'll put just about any special up against that one. Titus likens comedy to a rubber band. If you hold a rubber band in two hands, don't stretch it out and just let it go, there's not much of a snapback. It's not very impressive. But if you pull it, if you stretch it to the point there's tension, and then you let it go, the snapback is much greater and you get a much better reaction. Mm-hmm. So he likened that to comedy because if you watch Norman Rockwell is Bleeding, there are times there are no laughs for a while because he's building that tension. He's building that tension. He's building that. And then the audience is almost begging you to tell a punchline, to release them and have that release of energy that they've been building up, and the laugh will be so much bigger. And he taught me that, and that's a great lesson for young comics. What'd you love about Robin? Oh God, what not to love? Robin, just his energy was unreal, just constant and always on. You knew whether it be a talk show, a red carpet interview, game show, whatever it was, if Robin Williams is on, it's gonna be funny. And I respected that so much because you gave whatever you had to me. I respect it so much because I've seen comedians go on talk shows, on podcasts, on whatever shows, and they're not funny. Yeah. And it's a different art. Yeah. And I always get a little like, come on, joke. Yeah. Go. And Robin, that was never the case. No, it's funny that you bring that up because Sebastian Maniscalco is probably the hottest comic out there right now. Yeah. And I've seen him live and he's brilliant, but he's not good on talk shows. It's very strange. Now, he cannot sit there and talk to Jay or anybody, from back in the day or Kimmel or whatever. He's just awkward. It's funny. If you know Sebastian, you kind of know why. I don't know him at all. But that guy, Sebastian Maniscalco, he's one of those guys, but where when you look up his story, how he'd be waiting tables. Yes, at the Four Seasons. In between, while he's still waiting tables, would run to the Comedy Store, do his act in his waiter outfit, and do a set, come back, and drop the check. Yeah, like that's madness to me. So good. And nobody works harder than him. Oh my God. So I became a regular at the Comedy Store in '76. Okay, that's right. Your name's on the wall. Yeah. And so, you noticed. That's nice. Of course I noticed. It's one of the things I'm most proud of, I'm going to tell you. Really? Yeah, because, I started with Jay and David and Robin and Shanling, and, we all started together. Yeah. And I was doing warm-ups on a show called Soap. Next to me was a stage. They were doing Bosom Buddies, and Saget was doing the warm-ups on that. Oh, yeah. And then they were doing Barney Miller, and Letterman was doing the warm-up on that. So we all got our start doing warm-ups. That's so great. But the worst day of your life... By the way, hardest job in show business. Warm-ups? Audience warm-up. Yeah, people don't realize. They don't know. I did it for years. Man. But it was great training. I learned how to be a host by doing that. Okay. Yeah. But when Robin was getting ready to do a Tonight Show, and it was 9:15 and I was on at 9:30. Yeah. And Robin would come in and say, "Can I just go do 10 minutes?" Well, Robin didn't know how to do 10 minutes. He would do an hour in 10 minutes. And at 10:45, when everybody was walking out and they'd say, "Please welcome the comedy of Marc Summers," and I'd say, boy, a walking ovation because they were leaving. Yeah, and you could never follow him. No, he was brilliant. And it's done. He gave me the nicest compliment. Like, if you want to, it's still in my bio. Like, oftentimes when people, because you put quotes on, for a comedy post or whatever, this quote will always be on it. I did a show at the Throckmorton Theater in Mill Valley, California. That's where Robin lived. Yep. And it was a group show. Like, it wasn't my show. It was like a bunch of comics from the show. And it was rumored that Robin was going to be there, that he was going to stop by. Rumored, not confirmed. And I go on stage, I do my set, and I go back to the green room, and the tornado that is Robin Williams bursts through the green room door. Yep. Sees me. Now you gotta remember, this is like one of my comedy idols, and I didn't know he was there, and then he just sees me and runs up to me and just goes, "Oh my God, Mr. Williams, you're like Prozac with a head." And I'm like, that's
Yeah, he would say things like that.
That's the best.
Yeah.
That's the greatest. I have two moments in my life where my hero acknowledged and was good. That's the one that I tell the story of. The other one I actually have on video on my phone. Still am and was always a lifelong diehard Denver Broncos fan.
Mm-hmm.
John Elway owns a bunch of car dealerships in Denver. They found out that I'm a Broncos fan. They called me up. They said, would you like to perform at the Christmas party this year?
Oh, my.
And I said, will John be there? And they said, yes. And I said, well, then I will be there. And they said, we haven't discussed payment. I'm like, I don't care. So
Really?
I didn't care. I went there. I performed. John sat front row. And I have it on video when I said, thank you, good night. He leads the standing ovation.
No.
John
Nice.
Elway led the standing ovation.
Nice.
And I'm just like, that's it. Okay.
I'm done.
Because when you entertain the people that entertain you,
Yeah.
because we don't have too many gifts, Mark. we're pretty,
Yeah.
it's a pretty limited skill set, you
Well,
know?
they either like us or they don't.
Yeah. And so when people find out that I did overseas stuff and did some USO tours, they go, "Oh man, why'd you do that?" It's like, well, because I can't serve.
Yeah.
I can't serve. They're not gonna give me a gun, so I can't serve our country. So that's the best I could do.
Right.
The best I could do is go there, and for the people that are, and especially when you go there, it gives you such a greater appreciation. I don't know. Have you done tours?
Yes, I haven't done the Europe thing, but I've entertained. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I've been Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Germany, Japan, and
good for you.
yeah, and those are the most rewarding shows ever.
I bet.
Because you go and you see what those men and women are actually going through, and then you get to put a smile on their face. And to this day, I still have people that come up to me and go like, "Dude, I was there in Bahrain.
So you.
I was there at camp at what am I blank on the Air Force base? It's in Afghanistan. But they come to me and say the base that they were at. Yep. It's the best feeling. It's the
Here's
best
the thing.
feeling.
People don't understand. So I exec produce a show called Restaurant and Dinner Impossible for Food Network.
Yes.
And Robert Irvine is so attached to the military.
Yes.
So he says to me,
husband
July
of Gail Irvine.
Yes, yes.
Former pro wrestler.
That's
Sorry.
100%.
I know her as Gail Kim. So
Gail Kim, absolutely.
I'm a fan.
And yeah, as you should be. Otherwise, she'll beat the crap out of you. But,
yep.
So he calls me up and says, July 4th, I'm going to go to this base in some Central American place.
Yeah.
Will you go with me? I said 100%. Mm-hmm. So we fly there, and the government didn't tell us the truth. Okay. So
what?
Yes.
The government lied.
Imagine that. So we land in this airport. This is the most frightening airport. As you're going down the runway, you're passing like a Burger King and a McDonald's, like it's in the middle of a main drag kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as we get in this van of sorts, there is a truck in front of us with kids, 15, 16-year-olds with AK-47s pointed at us.
Oh, boy.
And we're wondering, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And we finally get to this base. And they explained to us that what they told us wasn't really the truth. And that this base was basically a place that ran interference for drug cartels. And nobody ever came to entertain. So we were there, but under no circumstances are we ever supposed to walk off premise. And if we do, we should have $100 bill or a watch so we could, and we're like pooping our pants there.
Yeah.
But we did a show.
Yeah.
And Robert cooked and I interacted and this stuff.
Yeah.
The appreciation that you get.
Yeah.
Especially because in this base, nobody came.
And there's no one probably even knows they're there.
No, nobody knows they're there.
I've been to Afghanistan where it's like, yeah, they knew people know what's going on there. So they got people.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's getting that part of South America. It's not our air base in Costa Rica that I'm sure gets people for a completely different reason.
It was a bizarre, and I couldn't wait. I kissed the ground when I got back. It was getting out of the place was frightening. Okay, but we did a good thing.
Yeah.
And Robert does this constantly. He goes all over the world and cooks and entertains like crazy. And I learned from him a lot of that. These people, they don't get the appreciation they deserve. I couldn't do what these folks do.
Yeah, and it's such a knee-jerk response that when I see someone wearing a hat, or if I see a certain type of haircut, or sometimes you can tell by a handshake.
Yeah.
And I say, thank you for your service. It's such a knee-jerk thing that I say, but it's like, no. Thank you for your, like, I can't do it, and I'm glad you do it, because I don't have to.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So I've watched a lot of you.
Yep.
All right?
Okay.
And I know there are expectations. And by the way, I didn't know that you wanted to do theater and stuff like that. The story I'd heard is Mencia brought you up and you did stuff, and all of a sudden you're doing stand-up. It's like, you're too damn good to, to that happen that way.
Well,
so,
thank you.
Yeah. So the expectations when you walk on stage are to do jokes about your size.
Sure.
Okay. Here's my belief, and I double dare you to do this. Okay?
Let's go.
You can do an hour and never mention your size.
Yes.
Because you're funny enough and have enough great material. Now, the question is, would the audience be disappointed?
So, first of all, thank you. And secondly, I think now I could. In my experience, because if you watch my specials, there's only so many times I can say, hey, I'm little, that's weird. There's only so many ways I could do that.
Yep.
So that's, some people will say, when you bring my name up, they go like, oh, he only does dwarf jokes. It's like, well, no, I don't. I do jokes from the perspective of a little person, because that's all I am, and that's all I know how to be. I don't know how to do jokes from a perspective of a 6'2" tall man. So, but I do plenty of jokes that have absolutely nothing to do with my dwarfism.
Right.
Nothing. And there's part of me that wants to do that, to say that I could. I maybe, like, my next special will be like a no dwarf joke special.
I'd love to see it.
And then just to be like, you know what? Fuck y'all.
Yeah.
I'm real good at this.
You don't need to do it.
Yeah. And then there has been times where I go on stage and I do jokes that have nothing to do with being a little person, and the audience is sitting there like, does he know?
Really?
And that's a little, I can tell it's a little strange. So, and it's actually, to bring it all full circle, it's a lesson my father taught me, is that when I meet people, he goes, crack a dwarf joke real quick, because then they'll know, like, okay, it's cool.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. He knows. So, like, and so I kind of brought that philosophy to the stage, to where I will talk about it, but there's a lot in my act, especially now, that has absolutely nothing to do with me being a little person, and it's some of the stuff I'm most proud of, because I can make a dwarf joke funny. I can make
easily.
Those are fun. Those are easy.
We've been talking here for about an hour and 10 minutes. It's the
really?
first time I haven't even gone to one of my questions here, because you're such a good conversationalist.
Oh, thank you.
Let me ask you a couple of things here.
Okay. Just so you didn't do the notes in vain.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Best part about being a little person or a dwarf?
Ooh, here, you know what? I'll bring it back to my dad again. Because my dad, when he found out that I was going to be a little person, started going to these LPA events, and he would sit in the back and not say anything. And he would just sit there and listen. And he would hear so many little people complain about, like, oh, the getting clothes is really hard, going to this place is really hard, doing this is really hard. After about his third meeting, my dad from the back raised his hand and goes, hey guys, I've been here for a few meetings, and all I hear is you guys really complaining about how much being a dwarf sucks. I have a son. He's about to be born. He's gonna be a little person. Is there anything good? Tell me, is there anything good?
What do they say?
One little person said, yeah, everyone remembers you. Everyone remembers you.
That's a good thing.
And that is a good thing, especially in this business.
Yeah.
Where you're trying to get noticed.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't mind the fact that some people don't know my name, but then they Google dwarf comedian, they go, that guy.
That guy.
I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Everyone remembers me. And that's good. Whether you go to a restaurant where they know you're a regular and the bartender knows your order, or whether you see me one time. No one sees my comedy show, walks out of the comedy show, and then goes, you know, I couldn't tell you one thing that the guy said. Like, no. Or what he did, or what he talked about. Because I've met people that I say, like, oh, you've been to the improv before, you've been to comedy, you've been in the comedy store before. Who'd you see? And they go, this guy, you know, the guy that does the thing. Like that's what they'll do. That never happens with me.
Never happens.
So that's the best part. Everyone remembers you.
Do you have a responsibility to little people?
I have discovered this through my 20 years. Oh, that sounds weird saying that. 20 years doing this. Whether I want the responsibility or not is irrelevant, because I do. I do have a responsibility.
And what is that?
And that is to just show that there is it's exposure therapy. A lot of the reasons why people have no problem making dwarf jokes is because they don't know little people. They don't know, and a lot of their examples are not even real examples. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, Oompa Loompas, elves, leprechauns, whatever. So I'm the real person. I'm the face, and I'm the thing that everyone could say, like, well, I don't know little people, but now it's gotten to the point where, like, it used to be a few years ago when you say, like, oh yeah, dwarves, like, oh yeah, like Dinklage, like Wee Man. Now you can say, yeah, like the Brad Williams, the comic guy. Like, these are all references and these are all representations of your people, whether you want to be or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think about stuff like that. Sometimes it bothers me because I'm like, I just want to be funny and just like let loose a joke.
Yeah.
And
do you
whatever.
get offended? Do people? Is there anything that because I was doing a show in Indiana and they introduced the stage manager and she was a dwarf and I said, oh hi, stand up. Oh, you are standing. I was doing shtick right off the bat because I knew she had a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
But I it's like if somebody not Jewish tells a Jewish joke or somebody Italian, do people get offended? You know
what? So here's one that offended me recently.
Okay.
And normally I don't. Normally I do not get offended, especially when people are doing it to me or whatever. But one that got me recently is someone, and of course someone sent it to me because whenever anything happens involving little people, it gets sent to me. It gets sent to me. So there's a car dealership in Arkansas, and they did an ad where it's a Facebook ad where a bunch of the salesmen are on their knees and then they have the shoes on their knees.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say like, oh, our prices are so low.
No.
And that offended me because just a cheap joke.
Yeah.
And in terms of like punching down, it's like there were no little people there. Like you're not responding. You're not saying to, you're not, it's just, you brought it out of the ether.
Yeah.
And you did it. So to me, it's not like the actual joke offended me. It's like what was going on in your mind when you decided, a lot of people decided that we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. To me, it's more that.
I get that.
So like, because I know they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't have a amputee and be like, our cars won't cost you an arm and a leg. Like they wouldn't do that.
But that's funny.
It is. But like that's funny. But like, yeah, exactly. So like that part, and I don't even like saying the word offended. Because it didn't like.
But don't we have six senses of humor?
Me.
I do stuff and it drives my wife insane.
Sure.
Because I go in a direction that she can't think of. And know what she says to me when I do that?
Yeah.
Real nice, Mr. Double Dare, is what she'll say to me.
So interesting. You're talking about the wives. My wife and I have a safe word, not for sex. My wife and I have a safe word when I'm taking a joke too far.
And that is?
Cephalopod. When I hear the word cephalopod,
you've gone too far.
I'm literally having a reaction to it right now where I feel like I should stop talking. But when I hear the word cephalopod, I go, oh, okay, too far. Because like we'll literally be out. Because I hang out at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
I hang out with the weirdest,
the sickest people ever,
funniest people in the world.
But only funny to us when we're in that group.
Mm-hmm.
People step in, they would be pissed.
Oh, and we're just playing a game of can you top this?
Of course.
And we're all trying to make each other laugh. And in order to make people laugh that hear jokes all the time, you can't do the hacky stuff because we know that stuff. We know the tricks. So we're going to these places, and then sometimes I go to a dinner party. And I'm in that mode, and like my wife will just look at me and she's like, cephalopod. And I'll be like, got it, okay, shut up. I'm gonna go eat a cocktail, or I'm gonna go eat a hors d'oeuvre, and then just like sort of like, and then nod frantically as you guys are talking about drywall.
I know it. My wife says, you only like people in show business, but they were talking the other day about, we had friends over and they were talking something about this was 4 inches and that was 7 inches, and I said, what was the joke I did just out of nowhere? How's a honeymoon like a snowstorm? And she said, how? And I said, you never know how many inches you're going to get, and it's like that shit pops in your head out of nowhere.
Yes.
And my own son always says to me, where do you come up with that stuff? I said, I can't control it. It just pops up,
It's call it a sickness. I don't like to call it a sickness because it's obviously the reason why I can pay a mortgage.
Yes, right. And a new house.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
New house, thank you very much. It's not a sickness, but it's that thing where I have to forget, or I have to remind myself that not everyone is in this world.
No.
And not everyone can relate, and I'm definitely going to offend people.
Yeah, no question. So, last question. How'd you meet your wife?
Did you do research on this?
No.
Oh my God.
No.
I can't believe I'm going to tell this to Marc Summers. Okay. All right. My wife. She's
a karate expert or something?
She is a 4th Dan black belt in Taekwondo.
Wow.
So when you say Dan, that is like that is essentially a black belt. So it's like 4th degree black belt. So it's like she's really good.
Yeah,
she's really good. Anyway, so I met my wife. I was living in San Francisco. I moved there because I had done like 3 or 4 straight years of 45 weeks on the road.
Oh my!
I was burnt. I was stressed, and someone said, "Hey, do you want to do a morning radio show in San Francisco?" And I said, "No flying, paycheck, sure." I did it. Day 1, by the way, I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah, what have I done?
This is not for me. Waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you do 4 hours of show, and then right at the end of the show, a program director calls you in who does the afternoon drive, who hasn't said a funny fucking word in his life. And he goes, let me tell you all the ways you weren't funny. Shut up.
Yeah, like he would know.
Yeah. You don't know jack. Anyway, so, but on this show, I had to move to San Francisco, and I didn't know anyone there. So we played a game on the show to help me meet people. The game was called Tinder or Grindr, where every day I'd flip a coin based on what it lands on. I go on either a Tinder date or a Grindr date. For those of you who don't know, Grindr is the gay Tinder, and I'm not gay, but I am what you call a go-getter. So we play the game. I actually went on one date on a Grindr date. It was one of the best first dates I ever was on. It was amazing. It was amazing. Went to a sports bar. He bought me beer, wings, and told me I was handsome. It was the best first date ever. By the way, no false pretenses. I let him know I'm not gay. This is for a radio bit. And he said, I don't care. Let's go up. So we did. It was great. The next day, we go on the show, and we're going to do, all right, we're doing Tinder or Grindr. And someone calls in and goes, have you tried Thrinder? And I go, what the hell is Thrinder? And they go, oh, that's Tinder for people trying to have threesomes.
Seriously? That exists?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's the sound of everyone slamming on their brakes. Looking up this app, all the dudes, let's say, what? Here and here's how you know I'm not lying. It's not called Thrinder anymore. Tinder sued them for copyright infringement. Now it's called Feeld, F-E-E-L-D. You're welcome. So I go on this app.
Yeah.
I make a profile. I match up with 2 women. We're all gonna go on a date together. One of the ladies does not show up. And I went on a date with just the other lady, and then 2 years after that, I proposed to that woman.
No kidding! Oh my, what a great story!
That's how I met my wife.
Wow!
And yeah, so I don't have a lot of advice for the young guys out there, for the young fellas, but one thing I can tell you is that if you find a very attractive Asian woman that is into 3-ways. Lock that up. Lock that up. Drop to one knee and not in the sexy way, and give her the ring right then and there.
There. Don't wait.
Right? What are you waiting for?
Yeah, honest to God, right?
What's gonna come along that's better than that?
Unbelievable.
Doesn't exist.
And so now that you know that your daughter's going to be a little person,
yep.
What advice that you learned from your dad are you going to give to her?
Don't start it. Finish it.
Yep.
Between God help the first person that in school or whatever tries to get at my daughter and make fun of her, because at home she has a 4th Dan black belt
as a mother
and a verbal assassin as a father.
Nobody's got a shot.
God help them. She's gonna come home one day and be like, I'm sure like Kardashian Jones made fun of me, and I'm just gonna be like,
I can't wait.
You tell me everything about Kardashian Jones,
God.
We are gonna have some fun with this, and I will write insults and I'll write comebacks, and we'll have a time. I will say, and this is the other thing that I'll put out there is, for when I first found out that my daughter was going to be a little person, and by the way, she's 3 now. She's great. She's wonderful. She was splashing in the hurricane puddles yesterday. She was having a great time. Anyway, when I first found out she was going to be a little person, I did have a little bit of guilt. I had
Really?
guilt because.
And you're not even Jewish. What?
I know, right? Hey. I had guilt because there's no. It's not like she got that from her mom. You know, she got that from me. So whatever complications, whatever hardships, whatever struggles come from dwarfism, I essentially gave that to her.
But what a great role model you are.
And that's what someone told me. And it totally flipped my mindset.
You're successful. You're happy. You know everything.
Someone said, who better?
Yeah.
You're a guy that's literally, and I'm not the only dwarf comic, but in terms of a dwarf comic that has had multiple specials and now selling out theaters and adding shows, like, it's one of one. Like, and that, I'm honored at that, but also kind of depressed because I want other little people to do this. So, so who better to explain to her how to navigate this world with dwarfism than someone who's done it successfully? Maybe not I'm not saying she has to be a comedian. She could be whatever, she wants to be. But whatever it is, here's how you do it, and here's how you could use it as an advantage, and here's the things to avoid. And I could be that person. So in that way, once a friend of mine told me that, and I'm so glad that you echoed the exact same thing,
100%,
because it means to me that you are a good father, and that's that good father brain. That
you do the best you can. There's no schools on how to be a parent.
No,
and you just do the best you can. Recently we had Kevin Pollak here. We had Howie Mandel here.
Good
we
lineup.
had Gabriel Iglesias here.
Fluffy.
And I don't know. I just love talking to comics because we speak a different language.
Same brain, man.
It is
the same thing.
It's a sickness, but it's a great sickness.
All those people you've mentioned, I have had conversations with all of them, and when you meet a comedian and you are a comedian, I summarize it from the Jerry Seinfeld Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. There's a story Chris Rock told on his episode that to me just perfectly summarizes everything, where Chris Rock was at a big movie star function, big movie star function with a bunch of movie stars and rich people and yada, yada, yada. All the famous people that you want to meet are there. And he says that at that function, he saw Jerry Seinfeld from across the room. He ran up to Jerry, put his arms on his shoulders, and like in a relieved voice just went,
"Thank God,
comedian,
yeah,
comedian, thank God." And that's what it is.
That's what it is. The best times I used to have, we used to leave the Comedy Store about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And there was a place called Theodore's. It doesn't exist anymore. It was on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Me, Leno, Letterman, guy by the name of Johnny Dark, Mark Scheffler, Glenn Super, all these guys that I started the store with. And we would sit there till like 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah.
And just tell stories.
So my favorite scene from the movie Comedian is also a Seinfeld thing, is they're doing a gig. I don't know what the gig was, but it was at the Comedy and Magic Club, and they're showing it backstage, and they show Shandling, Rock, Romano, Leno, Seinfeld, and Kevin Nealon, I believe. And they're all at that table that's at the backstage at the Comedy and Magic Club. And I'm looking at that table, and I smile every time I watch that scene, because in my mind I go, these men they all have all the money in the world.
And could care less.
They could be anywhere in the world. Yep. They could be in Dubai. They could be in Monaco. They could be in Vegas, Miami, whatever.
They're backstage.
There's no place they'd rather be
than
at that table, crowded green room, just shooting the shit with a bunch of the other funniest people in the world.
Yep.
That's where they want to be. So when you say you have Pollak and Iglesias and myself, because comics, it's a different way. I'm not saying it's better. I like it.
It's different. I like it. But we only have the best comics here, and that's why you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to hang out with you, man. That would be amazing.
Let's hang out. All
I would
right.
like to do that.
Have me up to your estate in Montecito. Do you have a winery?
I have a guest house you can hang out in.
You look like a guy that has a winery.
We'll talk. Marc Summers Unwraps, Brad Williams. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Marc Summers Unwraps is a production of Believe Limited, created by me, Marc Summers, and Jessica Richmond. Produced by Keith Korneluk and Jessica Richmond. Executive produced by Patrick James Lynch and Ryan Gielen. Post-production support from Joshua Sterling Bragg and Believe Limited. Don't forget to subscribe or follow the show on your favorite podcast player, and if you really love it, why don't you leave us a rating and a review? Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Marc Summers Unwraps.